I think Madame Samalie is ready now. We can go on with the presentation. Welcome, Madame Samalie.
It's already an afternoon, and I know if I'm not so lucky, I might be tired very soon because of that approach towards lunch. But I pray at least something will be gotten. We are seeing 2 logos, 3 logos, and like one is our Nicho Climb Club, meaning we are in for it and we have to continue them. Then this one is not only UNIMA, but also the government is in it. My presentation is specifically how to set up a weather station. But you cannot know how to set up a weather station without knowing what to put in that weather station. That's why my presentation is having meteorological instruments, station sighting, and at the end of it all, I'll have how to set up a weather station. Most of the things I might skip, reason, some have already been mentioned, and others are yet to be given by the other coming presenters. That is the outline, but without taking a lot of time, we can go just through to approach the specific slide where we are supposed to head. Meanwhile, as you read, meteorological weather instruments based on weather elements to be measured. We don't just wake up from a brew and say, this instrument should be here. The instrument should work hand in hand with all the weather elements we are having. And the weather elements are specifically 8, following each other in order, as you will get it from the presentation that will be given by someone. In that presentation still, it will clearly indicate why physics, because of those 8 elements, as they follow each other, they will clearly also put out why those very subjects. That one is just an explanation, the history, at least since they have said the slides will be shared, and as we are again next time, allow me to skip some of the slides, because at least some of them have already been given and others will be given. Now I begin our instruments. Maybe to talk about the weather elements, the 8 of them, they follow each other in order. We are having sunshine, we get temperature. From temperature we have atmospheric pressure or air pressure. From pressure we have the winds. And the winds, they will carry along with them something where relative humidity will also be embedded. From that, we'll have clouds. And from clouds, we'll have precipitation, what we know as rainfall, because of the distance from the equator. And lastly, if we happen to have precipitation, visibility comes in. So that's how the weather elements follow each other. And according to the instruments, they will still follow that very line. The first meteorological weather instrument is the human eye. If you can't observe well, you'll never get any recordings, or you'll never observe the atmosphere, you'll never observe anywhere. So the human eye, in this case, it is me, the person taking the observation, that is supposed to be key. So the human eye is the first meteorological instrument. You know, we are heading to how to site a weather station, but you have to cite knowing which instrument, the purpose, and the rest as you get to know in the presentation. I'm just going to show you, someone else will come to show you how everything is measured, what, though in the slide it may be having everything. The Stevenson screen is housing a lot of instruments, not only those ones that are being displayed, but any delicate weather instrument, meteorological, is supposed to be housed under the Stevenson screen. And the height will be given in the sighting or how to set up a weather station. So as a display, those ones are having temperatures. Those ones are just thermometers for temperature. And from temperature, we know though that one would have been the first, we are having sunshine. And with sunshine, we are having how many hours a day did we have the sunshine. We are having it using the Campbell-Stokes sunshine duration recorder. That will tell us how many hours of the day we had the rainfall, the sunshine in a given place. And we don't put those cards, we don't use it anyhow. If we are in a different season, for instance, if the overhead sun is in the southern hemisphere, we use a specific card. If it's in, maybe we are having equinox, we are having the middle one. And if we are having the overhead sun in the northern hemisphere, we will also change the cards. And for maybe a little on the Stevenson screen, the doors will be opened according to where the overhead sun is, because you can't face direct into the sun. So if it's in the southern, you open the northern door, and if it's in the northern, you open the southern door. We are still on sunshine. The other one was how many hours. Now this one, what is the intensity of that sunshine? Because if we want to set up solar panels somewhere, where will we base? We have to use a pyranometer to get the intensity. Is this sunshine really enough to support the solar panels or the solar plant that is really put in a place? So you have to use the pyranometer, and it's behind there, displayed. Even some of them are there. Some might not be their reason. Some cannot be lifted from wherever they are. For instance, I can't lift a boy. It's not this boy who puts on a shirt, but it's also an instrument. So there are some instruments whereby you can just use the pictures and where they are. For instance, I cannot transport the whole automatic weather station in this room, unless if I'm having somewhere to fix it. So that one is for the intensity. And from sunshine, we realized we are creating pressure. That's why the pressure instruments are falling. I'll not talk much as they'll elaborate more, but that's where we are having the barometers. Maybe a quick one. We are naturally was phased out because of its poisonous nature. That's why we are moving on very fast to automatic weather stations and also replacing it with the Android. But with Mercury, you will find we no longer use the Mercury barometers because of its poisonous nature. All those are pressure instruments. We are having the digital ones. We are having the self-recording using graphs. The other one, I just wanted to show you that yes, we used to have it, but currently you will not find it anywhere because of the phasing out of the machinery. But we used to use it. From pressures, we saw winds being created. That's why the winds are following. And we are having measures at different places. That's where how to set up a weather station. Also the location and purpose will matter. So in here we are having the anemometers for the speed. We are having the wind vanes for the direction. We are also having the handheld. If at all maybe you are in the field and like you want to get the speed and the direction of wind, it's at arm's length. You can't put it here and like you read, but at arm's length you can have it. It's also behind there. We brought it. Then we are having the windsock. That one will strictly be sighted at airports, whereby to aid the pilot on what is the intensity and like somehow the direction. But mostly the intensity. Because if the intensity is high, you'll see it very straight. We are having the evaporation pan. Because we are having the evaporation, we want to get the rate of evaporation. Because if we get to know the rate of evaporation, we'll have automatically to know maybe if the atmosphere is like saturating or not saturating, and we get our evaporation rate and measurements from our evaporation pan. The measurements are given and the sightings will be indicated. That one, when we reach that slide of sighting, I might not come back, but I intended to put it in that very specific place because of the follow-up of each weather instrument. This is still relative humidity. The other psychrometer is like handheld, but it is having both the two thermometers, the wet and the dry, but they will be the same in nature, only that they will be separated using a muslin, a wet cloth to separate one from the other. You just swing it and you happen to get the relative humidity of a place. When you look at this red one, it's a spirometer, whereby it will help you to know the concentration of aerosols in the atmosphere and even the cloud pace and cloud height. If we happen to have our clouds, we will automatically have rainfall. And how do we measure the rainfall? Is using those very instruments that are being set up in a weather station. The middle part is strictly picking out the collecting pan, the collecting bottle, the measuring cylinder, and the funnel. At the extreme, since meteorology is not only practiced in Uganda, we are also having those areas or regions where we are having rain precipitation. This time it's precipitation, not rainfall, in form of snow. So how do they measure it? Because they would want to know the amount that fell. They'll have to use a snow gauge, put as it is, for those countries and regions having snow. We are having our, where thermographs and hydrographs coming below, yet we already had the temperature up, because this was a different category, and like we are having one of our hydrographs, yet currently it's out of system, but the automatic weather stations are replacing everything. They are being phased out, but we can't leave out like mentioning that they used to be. Maybe you can find it in another country where they are still taking recordings using the plots from using the drum and the pens. So, I'm just rushing because we are heading to the slide having the sighting. At times when we don't have some of the instruments, we can use the slide rule to acquire some elements, for instance, the dew point, for instance, the relative humidity. You just slide your, as it is explained. Because it's having sections that can be pulled apart, they can be slided. We are having the sliding bar, the fixed bars, the cursor is almost in a glass form. We are having the metal wind and scales. All those ones, if at all adjusted, they can give you different parameters. If at all maybe you have your air temperature with you. In meteorology, we not only deal with air temperature or atmospheric air, but we also deal with instruments. That is for the case of agrometeorology. They will have to know the soil temperature, they will have to know the grass temperature, and those instruments have really been given and explained. These are the digital ones that are coming on board, whereby even if you don't have the other ones, the digital ones are on market already being provided. We are having our soil tensiometer. We moved with it, where you look and like you get to know the water tension in the soils. You just pull it out, and like maybe you dig a hole where you want to put it and like the temperature drop you want to get, and remove that probe and put it in the soil. After a few minutes, it will tell you the temperature of the soil. These are still soil probes. Again, another type we moved with. You just pull it in its enclosure and like you fix it in the soil where you want. As meteorologists, we not only get observations from the surface or from the nearby atmosphere. At times we have remote places, and yet you have to get the condition of the place, maybe a water body or what. In here we are using aircrafts aboard, we are using drop zones aboard aircrafts. They use like a parachute to reach maybe in the middle of the ocean, in the middle of a very big lake. The aircraft can lower and it takes the temperatures. Those temperatures are recorded in the specific place in an aircraft, and they can easily be retrieved. That's why at times the monitoring of like maybe the tropical cyclones, tropical storms can come in. We use satellites as our instruments as well to get real-time data, real-time information. For instance, if I want to get to know what is the weather right now, the satellite will specifically show it to me. And specific satellites have different orbits. The ones we might maybe say paths, where the satellite is like put, where it rotates. There are so many in there, but they are specific where we use, like the GOOS, the NASA, they are all put in different orbits. These are some of the satellite imageries we managed to capture, though had captured it some time back, whereby I wanted to exactly know what the situation was at the ground at that particular time. And the satellite picture specifically related. Why are they in different colors? One is infrared, and another one is not infrared. The other one is visible. Whereby infrared is really very good, whereby it can assist you even at night. It can work through, but with visible, it will only work when there is light and sunshine. there is when we are having, so with all these instruments, you'll also get to know that the sighting of weather station is not only in an enclosure, but even an extra mileage of outside. We use the weather balloon to get information vertically at bilateral levels, where we have to pick our data and information. In fact, that was our own, and that is that one is a staff of UNIMA. He was releasing the balloon. On it, the balloon is displayed there. So inside it, it is here. Other parts on how it moves and how it gets it, someone else will come and explain. But we get the vertical profile of every parameter. And on the extreme right is the radius on itself. The other point went down that is holding. So it is brought very clearly here. And we realize after we've gotten our rainfall, precipitation in this case, the visibility, of course, at times is like lessened. But where do we mostly focus with visibility is around aerodromes. So that's why they use the transmissometer to get the visibility. It has sensors where they are recorded, and like you specifically get to know the range. How wide is it? Is it very okay for the aircraft to park or not? That is the data, how it's plotted from the tachygram, that is the data being gotten from the balloon that was released. And as you plot, you happen to get the energy in the atmosphere. And after I will tell you that we are expecting maybe a storm, we are expecting light rains. Here we might not expect anything according to the energy, so it will be gotten from this. How big is the cap? That is convective available potential energy. What about the scene? That is the negative energy, and so on. On the tachygram, we are all having all those isobars, isosams, right? And they are being explained what they do. When data is being released and like we are capturing the information, it is called upper air sounding. And another instrument we use to capture meteorological data is the weather radar. That one I will not talk much about it because there are several presentations that will talk more, but you'll have to know if I'm sighting a weather station, where is the weather radar? If I'm sighting a weather station, how about the transmissometers? How about the visibility sensors and so on? So that's a coverage of our radar, how it captures the whole country. And the A is in Entebbe as displayed. That is an image from a radar. That is an image from a radar sensor. And again, another presenter will talk more of why do we have green, why do we have orange, and so on. But to me, specifically, I wanted, if at all we are having a radar, are we supposed to put it in an enclosure where we are having the maximum, minimum, and the Stevenson spring? So the sighting differ according to the purpose and maybe the readings you want to take. Because if you want to take readings from a water body, it will not be in an enclosure. There you will have buoys on water bodies, you will have everything. Then we are also having automatic weather stations where, again, someone is coming to talk about it, but how do these automatic weather stations really help us? Yes, They are very placed virtually, they are easy to like provide data and so on. But in remotely sensitive places, these automatic weather stations have really helped us a lot. And where we are not having many stations, all the country, we are having automatic weather stations where they are having data loggers and everything that will capture, monitor and like transfer the data to the specific sources where the data is needed. So that is a picture of the sections of the automatic weather station. Some might have more depending on the need, because you might find some having ceilometers where we want the cloud height. Some are having the visibility sensors where maybe they are located at aerodromes. So even those automatic weather stations will be placed according to the need. That is still a picture showing how a weather station, a automatic weather station is put. I'm just rushing because like that presentation you'll get as I was being told. And to cut time short, at least some of them will be skipped. Those are some of the sensors that are shielded under of the automatic weather stations in a weatherproof section. After recording the automatic weather stations, of course, they are displayed. So also the location of the display will matter. Because you can't display such in a weather station. It will be in an enclosure, maybe in a building where you are reading off your information, not to be interrupted by maybe rays and the sort. That is just a display on how the automatic weather stations display their information. This one was picked from an aerodrome, and the other one specifically, yes, it can also work at aerodromes, but even not in aerodromes, they can display the other vantage. Still on automatic weather station, there we have the tilting bucket rain gauge, where it just tips after maybe having a 0.2 millimeters of rain, it will tip. And the advantage is it will never miss. Even if the rainfall has been continuous, it will be recorded. So that one, specifically a tipping bucket, can be positioned on an automatic rain gauge, or you can find it working in isolation alone. Those are the water buoys. It is a fully packaged weather station, not an instrument, where we are having all the 8 elements being measured, and they are always put on water bodies. In Uganda, we are having them installed on Buvuma, as the coming presenters will give you more places. That one is like showing you why automatic weather stations are important, and they are in my talk. At least I was talking about them. This one is the beginning of our slide. Because it was citing an exposure of meteorological weather instruments, but we just...
In 10 minutes. We will just give you 10 minutes.
It will depend on whether lecturer teachers want to leave it like that.
Non-negotiable.
Okay, I'm going to try. That is a picture whereby different instruments are laid. They are laid according to the exposure. Maybe you have to see that. I want to like catch up with time. If you are putting a sunshine duration recorder, if you are putting a pyranometer, if you are putting, maybe they have to be in open places whereby the sun's insolation are supposed to reach. So they have have to be in open place. When we come to the rain gauge and the evaporation pad, still they have to be in an open place. And with the ground having very short grass, they will have with them some distance the wind measures, because evaporation, of course, there are factors considering evaporation rates. You have to take the measures. They are in a slide at the distance. That one, because like if you are setting up a meteorological weather station, what is your purpose? If it's for the school, how will you set that weather station? Because you will have specific instruments you want to take. So it will depend on how much instruments you have in your weather station for you to see how is my sighting going to be. It will depend on the purpose. If a weather station is for running airport or aerodrome, it will have specific parameters or elements to be measured. And there it will indicate where to put them. If we are for agriculture, they will need grass thermometers, the temperatures, they will need the soil temperatures, they will need the winds, they will need the evaporation pan, they will need as they are being displayed. Again, we are seeing they are displayed. For instance, we are taking the whole of it as the enclosure for an agricultural station. How are those parameters varying? Where are you putting the wind parameters, for instance, for the direction and force? They are specifically being given in the extreme corner on the right. We are having our cap counter and thermometers, and the distance has been given. At least, what is the different distance from down upwards? If it's for specifically agriculture, they have given here at least 2 meters up. And what is the distance in between the cap counter thermometers? It has been 1.5 meters. At least we are taking that enclosure as like our gate to our fence to the weather station. So they are giving you specific different distances. If our cap counter is in this corner, they expect you, the extreme corner, to have the thermometer springs. And those ones will have the Stevenson springs being embedded. Below that, again, they are giving you from the fence 2 meters. We are having the soil thermometer being placed. And they have clearly shown where the rain gauges should be placed and how far apart from each rain gauge should you place, because they are showing from one rain gauge to another, you skip 1.5 meters. This was specifically in the northern hemisphere because we are in the northern hemisphere. We are not in the southern hemisphere. So that is the pressing how our weather station should be, but it will depend on the purpose. The sunshine recorder is given in the extreme corner, but you remember it has to be in an open where we are receiving enough sunlight. That one is specifically for aeronautical. That is for aircraft performance. How do you place your instruments? Where do you place your enclosure to have all the instruments? Because you have to also watch over the visibility. So all those placements have really clearly been indicated. I'm just rushing to accomplish the 10. They are saying also where to put the wind vanes, wind socks, everything has clearly been put. That is for aeronautical. And that's why I say it depends on the purpose. That will indicate how you will site your weather station. Now, the important considerations are those ones. For instance, the Achilles. If you are pressing your instruments, where do you put them so that you attain the Achilles? The ground has to be leveled. and the instruments have to specifically be put to give you the right measurements. For instance, if you had put a wind vane or an anemometer in a different place, and you want to get the direction of wind at the airport, or maybe the temperature of wind or of air at the airport, and it was put in a wrong place, then you read wrong readings. It will mislead the pilot, and it will even mislead the length of the runway. For instance, if you happen to always give very high temperatures, like maybe 38, yet in actual sense you are supposed to give 24, it will mislead the pilot that I'm supposed to take a longer runway to either take off or land. Yet in actual sense, the depth of the air is still thick. He can easily take off in the short runway, and even can easily land in a short way. That's how we use them. And the sensitivity response and sudden sharp changes. For instance, we saw the sunshine duration recorder. If you put it in the wrong place where there are shades, it will not give you right readings. Ionometers, if you had put them in a shade, they will not give you the rightful intensity. And the biometric strips, if we are to use the barographs and the thermographs, they will not respond according to the contraction and whatsoever. So the convenience of operation. For instance, if you are at the Eldro, where do you place your weather station? You have to place it in a direction whereby you easily see the runway, and you can advise very well. The simplicity in design, the instruments have to be simple in design for you to at least get the readings easily. They should be durable, though some of them might not be durable, like the measuring cylinder. It's made that way because you have to use that one. Because the water does not flow on the sides of the instrument. You have to consider also the frequency. When do I always visit by sight? It can be once in a while. It can be 30 minutes interval. So it will also depend and decide where to put and site your weather station. The purpose we have already talked about it. If it's for a school, it's for agriculture, it is for aircraft operation. You have to know what purpose am I having in order for me to locate the weather station. Then the type of weather station. Am I having an automatic, a manual, and so on?
2 minutes.
Those are the specifications of how the enclosure should be. For instance, if you are having a lot of instruments in your enclosure, it will go up to 25 by 25 meters. That is for a case of taking synoptic readings. You are taking them every hour and for like a variety of functions. For instance, you will find our stations taking both agriculture, aeronautical, and hydro. They will be on 25 by 25. If it's for a school, the enclosure can be 10 by 7. We'll leave some bare ground for maybe observing the ground of the soil, where you stand to take the readings of the clouds, the cloud height, and the types of clouds that are seen. Because yes, automatic weather stations are being put on board, but the manual will never go away completely. The automatic at times cannot read for us the type of cloud. For instance, if we are in aviation, the cumulonimbus cloud will be like a king of the jungle. And in automatic weather station, it might not show it. So, the Stevenson screen, if you are putting it from down up, it has to be 1.2 meters or 2 meters, depending on where you are positioned. For instance, if you are in the tropics, if maybe your tropopause is easily reached, it will also depend on that. The anemometers and wind vanes, depending on the purpose. For agriculture, it will be 2 meters above the ground. If it's for aeronautical, it will be 2 meters above the ground. The rain gauge should be at least 2 feet in the ground. If you've ever listed our stations, they specifically show which area is in. As you'll see later, because also time is against me. And at least 30 centimeters should be up and should be seen. It has to be made of stainless steel and copper because of corroding of the water. We don't want water to stick on the sides. We want to measure exactly what was put inside the rain gauge. Then the evaporation pan, the other round one. You have to put it on a wooden platform because of the heat and the infrared, maybe the radiation down. It has to be on a wooden and some. It should be 10 inches in width, and those and the diameter should be 48. The outdoor instruments, as I said, should be on a level ground for you to get representative readings. Should not be surrounded by big buildings. It should not have maybe tall trees around, because you'll find the rain gauge is positioned 3 times its height so that you take representative readings. Then there should be no steeply sloping grounds, and it should not be in a valley. Why not in a valley? Because at times temperatures vary so much in a valley. You find in the morning, if you've ever realized, you'll find a lot of yes. So if you had put your station in a valley, the readings may not be representative. Those ones I've already talked about: obstructions, position. Yes, at least everything is in the PowerPoint, where and how to press everything. Those references, if you happen to get them, they will really guide you on how to set up a meteorological weather station, especially the WMO document, that is World Meteorological Organization document, and it's number 8. It will strictly pick for you what you really want to do, and others as per the presentation has been. And lastly, if you want a weather station in your institution, kindly write to our executive director. He will assign the rightful directorate to handle you, and they will provide for you the rightful person to press for you the instruments, and you'll have representative readings. Weather and climate information is for us all, for God and mankind.